Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to be diving deep into something I think we've all got some experience with. The impact of television,
Yeah.
especially for those of us who, well, kind of grew up with it always around. And, you guys sent in some really interesting stuff for this one, articles and research studies, and even some of your own stories about how TV's affected you.
Right.
It's really pretty amazing how much TV has, gotten woven into our lives. Like it
Yes.
affects our values and how we see the world and everything.
Television, it really does tend to, well, kind of fade into the background sometimes.
Yeah.
But the influence it has on us, undeniable. And it's not just entertainment either. It's
Right.
like a mirror, you know, reflecting all our societal values back at us.
Mm.
But the thing is, it can also shape those values.
Oh, interesting. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg thing then. Like, does TV reflect us or are we reflecting it?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
bit of both, I think.
Yeah.
Take the civil rights movement as an example. John Lewis once said that television, well, it gave that movement wings.
Mm.
And it's true because it brought that struggle for equality, right into people's living rooms,
Wow.
across the nation, forcing people to confront the injustice of it all. And that, sparked conversations that ultimately led to change.
Yeah.
It's really hard to imagine um, that movement gaining the same kind of momentum without television, without that level of visibility.
It's true. That's such a powerful example of how TV can actually, like, spark social change.
Yeah,
Makes you wonder, though, about all the other ways it's shaped us, too. Like, maybe in ways we don't even realize.
exactly. And to really get that, I think we need to look at how TV content itself has changed over time.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, those family sitcoms from the 80s and 90s, always with those clear-cut morals, happy endings, all that.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
TV's come a long way since then, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It feels like we're in this, like, golden age of television now,
Right.
with shows like The Wire and Breaking Bad. I mean, they're practically movies, the way they're so complex and everything.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And these shows, they aren't afraid to dive into morally ambiguous territory either. They leave us with questions, you know, instead of always tying everything up in a neat little bow.
Right, right.
I think it's a pretty fascinating reflection of well, how our storytelling has evolved.
It really is. Makes you wonder if this shift towards, those characters who aren't all good or all bad, if that maybe reflects, like, us as a society. Like, maybe we're not comfortable with those simple black and white stories anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe we want stories that are more, more like our own lives, where it's not always so clear who's right and wrong.
That's a great point, I think. This whole evolution and the kind of content we see, it really does suggest a shift in, what we value as a society.
Yeah.
A growing appetite for nuance, I guess you could say,
Ah.
and a willingness to grapple with those more difficult questions.
Interesting. Let's switch gears for a second. Let's talk about something a little more personal, like how television influences what we want, especially when it comes to stuff, material possessions. I'll admit, sometimes I see those fancy apartments on TV or those designer clothes, and it
Sure.
makes me want a bigger place or a nicer wardrobe.
Oh, believe me, you're not alone there.
Yeah.
Television is really, really good at linking happiness to, well, to having things.
Oh, yeah.
It's just this constant stream of ads and shows glamorizing wealth, making it look like, that's the ultimate goal.
Hmm. That reminds me of those old shows back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Those characters always had these impossibly huge apartments
Right. Yeah.
and all the latest gadgets and everything. Remember that?
Of course.
I remember wanting the exact same sneakers as those cool kids on TV. Like, I thought, those shoes would magically make me cool.
I know, right? It's a classic example of how television can, well, it can kind of warp how we see things
Yeah.
and make us feel like we're not good enough. It plays on our desire to fit in,
Hmm.
to be part of the in crowd by saying, hey, happiness is just buying stuff.
Right, right. Like that whole keeping up with the Joneses thing, but like turned up to 11.
It's exactly.
And those reality shows, like keeping up with the Kardashians,
Yeah.
I mean, that can't be helping.
No, not at all. Those kinds of shows give us this, well, very carefully constructed view of wealth and happiness.
Yeah.
It's often distorted too. And it just makes it harder to tell what's real and what's just, for the cameras.
Totally. It makes you think about, like, what we really value as a society.
It really does.
Okay, so we've talked about how TV influences, our ideas about success and happiness and stuff.
Right.
But what about how it shapes how we see each other? It's awesome to see more diverse casts on TV now, but has it really moved past those harmful stereotypes, like when it comes to race and gender and all that?
Well, there's definitely been progress,
Yeah.
in terms of representation.
Yeah.
But sadly, some of those harmful tropes, they're still hanging around.
Oh, that's too bad.
And they can have real consequences out in the world, too. Those portrayals can really affect someone's self-esteem, especially younger viewers.
Right.
And they also shape how the public sees things
Yeah.
in these really subtle but powerful ways.
Hmm. Can you give an example of like how those stereotypes can actually play out and be harmful?
Think about how, back in the 80s, TV shows often showed working mothers as being all frazzled and stressed,
Oh yeah.
like they were struggling to handle their careers and family.
Right.
Now,
Uh-huh.
was that reflecting how society felt at the time? Or was it, adding to that anxiety by making it seem like women just couldn't have it all?
Wow, yeah. That's a good point. It makes you realize how those seemingly innocent portrayals, they can actually like keep those harmful stereotypes going.
Right.
And they limit how we see, what's actually possible.
Exactly. It's subtle, but it's everywhere.
Mm.
There's studies showing that black adolescents, the more TV they watch, the more they look for shows with more racial diversity.
No, really.
Yeah. And it shows there's this real hunger to see relatable representation,
Yeah.
to see themselves portrayed positively. And that's so important because it affects how we see ourselves and how we see other people.
Hmm. So true. Yeah, it sounds like we really need more, nuanced and real portrayals of diverse characters on TV.
Oh, absolutely. Representation, it truly matters.
Yeah.
When you see certain groups constantly portrayed in stereotypical or negative ways, it just reinforces biases,
Yeah.
and it contributes to discrimination in the real world.
It's almost like TV is giving us these glasses that make us see things wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And if those glasses are always showing us this, messed up image of certain groups of people, well, it's
Yeah.
no wonder those biases end up in, our everyday lives.
That's a really powerful way to put it.
Yeah.
We need to be more aware of these subtle ways we're being influenced.
Right.
And it's not just about race either. Gender stereotypes, they're everywhere too. Think about it. How often do you see women on TV, only focused on their appearance?
Oh, yeah.
Or men who are like emotionally closed off?
All the time, yeah. It's frustrating how TV sometimes just, keeps those harmful gender norms going instead of like trying to challenge them.
Right.
Speaking of portrayals that can really mess with how we see the world, let's talk about violence on TV.
Okay.
I've always wondered about this. Like, do all those crime dramas and action movies, do they make us more scared of the world?
Mhm.
Even when, crime rates are actually going down?
It's a valid concern. There's this thing called the mean world syndrome.
The mean world syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's where, well, being exposed to violence in the media, especially on TV,
Mm-hmm.
it can lead people to believe that the world is much more dangerous than it actually is.
Oh, wow. So even if crime is going down, we might actually feel like it's going up because of, what we're watching on TV.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Studies have actually shown that people who watch a lot of violent TV,
Yeah.
they tend to overestimate how much crime and violence there is in real life.
Oh, wow.
It's like that constant stream of, well, fictional violence. It creates this sense of anxiety and fear,
Uh-huh.
even though it's not really based on reality.
Yeah, that's kind of unsettling.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, about the bigger impact of, all this fear-mongering.
Here's something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Violent crime rates, they've actually been decreasing in the U.S.
Okay.
for decades now.
Uh-huh.
But the public, they think crime has gone up. And that difference is probably because of how violence is portrayed in the media.
That's crazy. It's such a clear example of how TV can really, like, change how we see things.
It is.
It makes you think about, the people who make this content.
Yeah.
Like, are they just showing us what's real? Or are they actually, shaping reality themselves? Like, maybe even, contributing to this culture of fear.
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's complicated. No easy answers. I mean, television, it's a business at the end of the day.
Right.
And, a lot of entertainment, it relies on that heightened drama, the conflict to keep people watching.
Yeah, that's true. But it's definitely something we need to be talking about.
Absolutely.
So where does that leave us as viewers? I mean, are we just stuck, passively consuming whatever TV throws at us? Or do we have, like, a choice in how we interact with this powerful medium?
We're not just passive consumers.
Yeah.
We have choices to make. what we watch,
No.
how we engage with it. We can be, well, critical viewers.
Sure.
We can question what we see, seek out different viewpoints,
Right.
and support content that aligns with our values. And remember, television, it's constantly changing what
Yeah.
we're watching today. It's the result of choices made by us, the viewers, by the
Yeah.
networks, the advertisers, everyone.
So it sounds like we actually have a role to play in shaping the future of television.
Exactly. By supporting shows that challenge those stereotypes, promote positive values, and really reflect how complex the world is.
Yeah.
We can influence what gets made, what people see.
That's actually pretty empowering.
It is.
It's not just about, sitting back and taking whatever we get.
Right.
We can actually be part of making the TV landscape better.
Right.
We can choose to be more mindful about what we watch
Exactly.
and look for content that teaches us something, and helps us understand the world, understand ourselves better.
Exactly. And that brings us back to you, the listener.
Yeah.
We've explored some of the ways television has impacted all of us,
Yeah.
but now it's your turn. What really stood out to you from what we've talked about today?
Right.
What parts of TV's influence, really resonate with your own experiences?
It's definitely been eye-opening to kind of unpack all these different ways television has affected us.
Right.
But like you said, we're not just passive viewers. We can choose to be more mindful and actually use our viewing habits to support, the kind of content we want to see more of in the world.
Precisely. We can be conscious consumers, looking for shows that challenge those stereotypes, offer diverse perspectives,
Yeah.
and inspire us to think critically about the world around us.
It'd be amazing if we were even inspired to, make our own content.
Oh, absolutely.
Content that contributes to a more inclusive and insightful media landscape.
That's a fantastic thought.
It's a good reminder that we're not, just spectators in this whole media world.
Right.
We can actually be active participants shaping the future of television through our choices and
That's
maybe
right.
even, our own creative projects.
Precisely. Television has the potential to be such a powerful force for positive change.
It really does.
It can educate us,
Yeah.
challenge our views, and connect us to different cultures and experiences.
Yeah.
It all comes down to how we choose to engage with it.
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating. We've explored how television has shaped, our values, how we see things, even our fears.
It has.
But in the end, we have the power to choose how we let it influence us
Absolutely.
and how we use it to shape the world around us.
Well said. It's been great diving into this topic with you.
Yeah,
And to our listener, we hope this has been a thought-provoking journey through the world of television.
yeah, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep choosing content that enriches your life,
Absolutely.
and that expands your understanding of the world. Until next time.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to think about all the ways TV has, kind of shaped how we see things.
It has.
But like you said, we're not, just sitting there passively taking it all in.
Right.
We can actually choose to be more mindful
We can.
and use our, viewing habits to support the kind of shows that we want to see more of.
Absolutely. We can be those conscious consumers, right? Seeking out shows that challenge those old stereotypes, offer different perspectives, Yeah.
And maybe even inspire us to think a little more critically about the world.
Yeah. What if we were even inspired to make our own content?
Oh, absolutely.
Content that helps create a more inclusive media landscape.
That's a great thought.
It's a good reminder that we're not just, watching this media world go by.
Right.
We can actually be a part of it,
Yeah.
Shaping the future of television through our choices
Yeah.
and maybe even through, our own creativity.
Exactly. Television, it really does have the potential to be a powerful force for good.
Yeah, it really does.
It can teach us things, challenge how we see the world, connect us to different cultures and experiences.
Yeah.
It all comes down to how we choose to engage with it.
That's what makes this whole deep dive so interesting.
It really is.
We've explored how television has shaped our values,
Yeah.
how we see the world, even our fears. But ultimately, we get to choose how much we let it influence us and how we use it to shape the world around us.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. It's been great, diving into all this with you.
Likewise.
And to our listener, we hope this has given you some things to think about, about the world of television.
Keep questioning, keep exploring,
Absolutely.
and keep choosing content that makes your life richer,
Yeah.
and expands how you see the world. Until next time.